to attend school trainings and having additional conversations with Allison Guest as the district continues to roll out more fully the standards-based grading system, so that we make sure that we are understanding where our students are at in all their classes and when they need some of our additional support. So that's what we have for you all. Do you have any questions?
So how do you recruit or participate, students to participate, Sugar Scholars? I think I did ask you that a few years ago, but basically, how do you reach out and how do you?
Sure. So we work directly with the middle school administration, primarily Gemini, but also Emerson and Chippewa and some of the parochial schools and private schools. We reach out and work with them to get some academic data and understand which students might academically qualify for our program. And then after that, we talk with that pool of students and discuss with them and their families, this is what our program is, and that's also when we introduce our demographic profile.
So you reach out to individuals
To
in
students?
gathering
Correct.
places?
So we work with the school, we talk with the students who academically qualify in a group,
Right.
and then we invite them to another group meeting where they and their parents come to learn more about the program, and at that point they decide whether or not they'd like to apply. And if they do apply, we then meet one-on-one with select applicants and their parents.
So they start from middle school?
They start from middle school, winter of 8th grade.
I do want to commend you, you talk about equity, to have two women, I think it's really awesome.
Yeah.
That Wilson and then have same opportunities on such a very competitive
Absolutely.
We've actually, this program historically had more women enrolled than men over the course of
True.
pretty
It's
significantly
true,
more women
yeah.
than men.
The senior class has 11 females and 1 male.
That's awesome.
Okay, we need to work on that.
This was my
Right, we're at the other
dissertation
side.
study, let's not get into it.
Yeah.
Any other questions we can answer?
Thank you for your
Thank
excellent.
you so
Thank
much.
you.
Great job. Okay. Any public comments? Updates from board members? Any outside? Okay, we'll go to our committee reports, starting with education.
Okay, we had a meeting on October 15th at 8 a.m. Present were myself and Sheila Davidson. We went over new course proposals and some course name changes, which will be coming up later in the agenda. Sean Messner ran through some of these new course proposals. One is cosmetology, which is going to be added as a dual credit course with a college of 2 page. There's another one, technical and Manufacturing Association we're gonna be working with them to have district students earn certifications in lab, mill, and NIMS
Just set it right there.
certification. What does NIMS stand for again, Sean? What does NIMS stand for again?
It is a manufacturing certification.
Okay,
It's like numerical something, manufacturing
okay,
something.
I just wanted.
Lathes and millwork.
Okay. But that's not in NIMS.
No.
I'm trying to get the acronyms, they all like their acronyms. There's also going to be aviation fundamentals and aviation physics courses that are going to be offered at Chicago Executive Airport for an FAA certification in aviation maintenance. Very, very interesting and exciting because these students come out once they've completed it and really great living. And then also an advanced composition 2 course, which will now follow advanced comp 1, allowing students to earn 6 credits at Oakland Community College in English. The board will be asked to waive the first reading tonight for that, so that the courses can get, we can determine interest in those courses more quickly. There was also a brief conversation on our curriculum relative to diversity. Mr. Mesker mentioned that the school report card will come out. It has come out, and I see it is on the agenda, so he'll be going over that. We'll have our next education committee meeting on Tuesday, December 10th at 8:30 a.m., and the meeting was adjourned at 8:38 a.m.
Thank you. Next, our finance committee report. Member Clark.
Okay, so we met for the Finance Committee meeting on October 21st, 2019. Members present were myself, Aurora Austriaco, and Jim Lee. The meeting is called Order at 5:04. No public comments. We did discuss the tentative levy, and Mary Lou updated us on the 2019 tax levy, which includes the first two bond sales that were issued from the referendum. The district estimates a tax increase of approximately 9.5% of taxpayers related to approved debt from the referendum. The district is also asking to levy 2.3% on new growth of the 50 million, but will likely achieve 25 million in new property growth. The district will comply with the truth in taxation because we are adopting an aggregate levy that is more than 105% of the tax extension. We are also hoping to approve the tentative levy on November 4th, this meeting today. Hold a public hearing on the levy and adoption of the levy on December 2nd, and file the levy by December 31st. We also briefly discussed tuition costs. The tuition charge this year per pupil for out-of-district students is $19,895.72. Interestingly, there are no tuition-paying students this year. The allowable expenditure increased by 3.6%, and the average daily attendance increased by 2.5%. The SCRIP bylaws were also discussed. SCRIP group had been working with legal counsel on developing bylaws for the health insurance side of the cooperative, because the current bylaws only cover property liability and workers' compensation. The bylaws will operate under established guidelines for initial terms, withdrawal procedures, expulsion procedures, and rules for voting, which are all standard. The meeting is adjourned at 5:30.
Thank you. All right, buildings and grounds. Member
Yes, the Buildings and Grounds Committee met on October 21st, and we, myself, Aurora Ostraco, and Sheila Yusof-Jacobson were in attendance, and we started meeting at 5:30. There were no public comments, and the majority of the meeting was the construction update. White Architects outlined changes to the building plans since the meeting in August. The top priority remains security improvement, instructional flexibility, health and wellness, and infrastructure updates. Phase 1, or the design phase, design package 1, begins over spring break 2020 with floor abatement at all 3 schools. The next round of meetings will include the application of real materials for a clear picture of the projects. Bi-weekly meetings continue with administrators, all district departments, and school-specific programs for design and budget alignment. Pepper followed with a list of proposed project milestone dates, and this is as follows. November, start to present proposal for asbestos management. December, early bid packages go out. February 2020, approval of early bid packages, and we'll have a special board meeting on 2/24/20. And then in March 2020, the abatement begins, and May 2020, start phase 1 work. And we had a long discussion on that meeting, 2.5 hours. And Carl Owen requested a summary on the safety and security measures that we all wanted, so that was a good request. And then having no further business, we adjourned it at 8:05.
Thank you. Mary Lou, do you want to do that construction update?
Sure. In terms of the construction update, we're getting pretty close. So we have now completed all of the building sign-offs on phase 1 designs. We met with every department or group impacted by phase 1 and went through a very detailed outline of what their spaces will look like and had them sign off that, this was kind of the direction that we were all gonna go. Over the next 3 weeks, we will be moving into finishes, or somebody in my department terms, the fun part of the project, where you get to take the pretty colors and fabrics and the themes throughout the spaces, and that will happen 1 day a week for each of the next 3 weeks. We have a 2-day, what we call the next round of budget or estimating summits on the 12th and 13th, and that information will then be presented at the November Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting. So I think the architects are hard at work to putting the finishing touches on design one of those construction packages, and the construction manager is very hard at work estimating those construction documents to ensure that we're still within our budget for the project. We anticipate that pretty much the presentation that we gave to the board in October, we will be able to publicly share and post on our website within the next week. And then we'll start rolling all of that information out to the community and to the staff. But I would say a lot of our staff is very informed on the construction because they're pretty much living it if their spaces are impacted. That was October. November will come, and I think that, you know, we'll start to see the bidding documents as was indicated in January. And come spring break, it's gonna be kind of construction season.
Do you anticipate a special board meeting before January or in January?
No, we kind of outlined the bid packages to try and hit all of the board milestone dates. There are times, like with the early bid packages, that the bids will be open after the Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting, but before the board meeting, so it won't go committee then board. And we outlined that in the milestone dates and the projections. And then just the February 24th meeting, we felt that getting that information approved even a week early would be helpful to awarding those contracts.
Okay, thank you. You want to continue with monthly?
Sure. In your
finances?
board packet is the September financial report. Things are in line in terms of where we should be with budgeted revenue and expenditures. Revenues lag slightly behind, but that's just timing of when taxes are received. The expenditure by funds are all in line with where we would anticipate being at this part of the year. Those funds that are over the percentage of the year completed, for instance, the fire prevention safety fund, we've spent 30% of that fund's budget, but it's a construction fund, so most of our work goes on over summer break. So that's why in September you'll see a greater percentage of those funds expended. Everybody else is in line. The other part of the financial report is the investment volatility report. This is a report we provide on a quarterly basis. At the end of the year, because we're on a full accrual basis accounting, we do what's called a market to value adjustment, where we take our investment portfolio and we mark it up or we reduce it by its current market value. So this report gives you a gauge of where we would be should the fiscal year have ended June 30th. So currently our market as of June 30th value is higher than our carrying value or our par value by 1.4 million. This is really kind of a meaningless number because we never really sell our investments. We hold them to maturity, but that's an indication that because we've shortened the curve, because interest rates on the short term have been rising a little, and actually interest rates have been so little that a lot of our money is in our money market fund, because our money market fund we're finding is providing the best interest rate return, and then we're getting that money to invest once those rates have increased. But the next 35 pages go over each of one of our investments and show you both the market and the carrying value of those investments, as well as the maturity date and the rate of return. So this is just a very detailed report we give you every quarter on where the investments are landing.
All right, thank you. Instructional services.
Yeah, so as alluded to earlier, the Illinois school report cards have been released. They're released each year on October 31st. You have in your board packet a cover memo from me, and then followed by the at-a-glance reports for each of the schools in the district. They are available online and will be posted to the school website as well. And so just a very brief overview, all three schools were rated as commendable. So we're very proud of that fact. And you can can see on page 2, not quite everything is added back into the equations yet. You see it's fine arts at the top at 0%. The state is still determining how a fine arts percentage will be figured into our overall kind of expectations for the district, and how that gets feathered then into the overall designation determination.
Well, as shown by tonight, that will rate all of our scores.
Yes, absolutely. I can't wait for that. That's always, we won't have any shortage of success in that area.
Absolutely.
And I'll entertain any questions from my, yeah.
I do have one question. I noticed chronic absenteeism is weighed fairly heavily in the rating, according to that. And ours district-wide, I'm just looking at district-wide, is a little bit higher than the state. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So we're looking into that a little bit more deeply. A couple things about chronic absenteeism. One, surprisingly, it is an issue, actually if you look across the country, it tends to be an issue around in large cities and their suburban surroundings, which is an interesting finding. It also includes unexcused absences as well as excused, which means, for example, when students miss school and parents feel it's appropriate for them to do so, that number is also included. So this isn't unexcused, this is excused as well, very often for very good reasons. So we're looking at it at the building level and trying to pull apart that data to get a little bit more of a descriptive reason for why students may be choosing not to come to school, or why they're being excused from school.
I mean, college visits, for example, is that counted in here?
Yes, so it's a 10% of your entire year, so that's 18 days. So if you look at that and you say, okay, well, we're gonna add a day here, we're gonna add a day there, it could be a college visit, could be family visits. We do have families that extend vacations because they travel distances to meet family or to go on vacations. Each of those days for which a parent excused them gets rolled into this number. The truancy rate is the one that typically has been reported in the past, and is a little bit more, well, it's a lot more in terms of students who are just unexcused absence from school.
Right.
This one is a broader determination.
And that's what the rate, the standard is for this, because we're looking at chronic absenteeism.
Yes.
It's not true.
Correct. There is a chronic truant number as
Were
well.
all three schools last year commendable as well?
Last year, South was exemplary and East and West were commended.
Okay, that's what I thought. So why do we think that shifted?
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, I would say that the way the state creates these designations are based on percentages of the whole. So you could have a school that's performing exactly the same level as they did last year, but if a couple more schools increase and get into the top 10%, you'll fall out of the top 10%.
Even
It's
without
a
a
curve.
change.
Well, it's a bell curve applied, I guess, for ranking. However, bell curves occur in nature as sort of natural phenomena without anything impacting upon it. In school systems, we are impacting upon it. Preference, I think you should have benchmarks that, along the lines of competency, if you meet these benchmarks, that puts you in a category. That's not the case. If you're in the top 10%, and have a 67% or higher graduation rate, you're exemplary. If you're not, you're commendable. And as long as you don't have any underperforming subpopulation that is performing at or below the bottom 5% in the state, you fall into those top two categories. Once any of those other areas change, you can drop down to designation.
Sean, question, but doesn't our graduation rate is far more than 67%? We're like almost 87 or 90 something %. So if we would like to, if we are not happy with the, whatever we got, can we challenge it, or can we talk to the state, say, hey, this is not true, or we are far better than this, and then we can provide the data to challenge and such?
So I would say we are happy with commendable designation, it's very good. Secondly, there is no challenging the numbers are the numbers. So for example, 67% is not, well, if you have 30% more than the 67, you get more credit. It's just a flat number. So the number is 67%. As long as you're not below that number, it gets calculated in. So I would say that the bigger questions we have are the validity of what is being assessed in terms of the district, rather than arguing for more points here or there.
Sean, and I know, Karen, we talked about this is based on the Carnegie model of you have to be present in school, physically present. And I know there's discussions that we've had before where, there's a movement that maybe we'll move away from that, just because of the digital age. I mean, how do we marry this with that?
Well, we're in the competency pilot, that's gonna help us do that, so, we've already begun that journey, but that's gonna be a slow, steady journey, we're not gonna be flipping there overnight. So I think you're gonna see some changes. The biggest thing I would say about these is, and I just was talking to a group of superintendents about this today, when the ESSA, the Reauthorization Act, came in, we had opportunities to really think better about everything, to better reflect the things that we're chasing here, which is how to design a school so that your child is ready to be successful after high school. This still reflects a lot of overthinking, and we could spend a lot of time just unraveling the methodology of the testing, but, for example, they threw a science test in there that different populations in different schools actually take, so you don't have an apples to apples comparison. And you can actually game the system if you want to. Some schools have probably done that, we haven't. So you've got this science test, which to our kids is not a high stakes test. You'll notice that our English and math scores are way higher. Why is that? Well, that's on the SAT. The kids care about that test, they take it seriously. The science test doesn't count for anything, it's just, the federal government has said, well, you're gonna take a science test. Well, our kids know that test doesn't mean anything, at least to them. So they don't take that test very seriously, and that's part of the folly of judging schools by standardized tests. The kids will generally take like the SAT test fairly seriously because they believe still that it has some currency to them. But the science test, we're finding they actually aren't even trying for that in some cases. And I think the scores reflect that. So I think the things that I would continue to point to are how's our college graduation rate? If you graph that slope, it's going up. How are kids' job placement? You graph that slope, it's going up. And so the things that we're really chasing from a design standpoint, which unfortunately ESSA could have measured, but really didn't. Some of the career stuff, which is going to come online, and actually some of the stuff's going to change next year. Like the science test that's on there isn't even going to be there next year. So it's, I think because we've got a new change in the law, I think we've got to let years settle and hopefully figure some things out and get better.
So from them, who's looking at this state school report Charleston, based on this information? Students, the parents, everyone?
Not many. We're looking at tonight that it's not something that, frankly, even going back to NCLB, the schools in this district, if you go back to the design of NCLB, it was designed so that every school district in America would eventually be considered a failing school, and that, every school district. So at some point, people stopped really paying attention to it. ESSA's a little better. It does have multiple measures included in it, and I think there's discussion going on right now to sort of reflect a better way to do school. We're just not quite there yet.
So where do we stand compared to our local neighborhood districts?
About the same. Everybody's about the same. So, it's the things that matter more, though, we're far ahead of the neighboring districts. The design of the career advisement, for example, nobody's doing the stuff that we're doing. So the stuff that actually matters to your kid, to your student, we're far, far ahead of the work there.
Thank you. All right, update on Hoyer Lucas?
We have 3 and they've all been responded to. Oh, I want to say one more thing. Only because he's in the audience, Matt Curley is here. Matt is going to be offered for recommendation tonight for the Associate Principal of Human Resources and Instructional Operations at Maine West High School. And so that when we go in close, you can feel free to leave. It could be a long time. I just want to say hi to Matt, recognize him here.
Thank you
He's
very
in a cohort of new hires. And the board will remember when we talked about our redesign for the 12-month and 10-month administrative positions. This is reflective of sort of that first wave of those things, which again is a part of design structure aimed at the things that we want to do with school to attend to serving students.
Great. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Do I have a motion on the consent agendas, items 7, A through G?
Second.
Austriaco? Collins?
Aye.
Coyle? Lee?
Abstain?
Owen? Yusuf Abramson? Bessler?
Aye.
Do I have a motion on number 8, Board of Education policies, second reading?
So moved. Second.
So this is a student ownership policy. Basically, just a quick overview. What this does is establish student work created as part of a school project or something they're working on in class is owned by the student, and also then holds the district harmless in terms of should that student then perhaps profit, sell some of those products that he has created through his school endeavor. So it really makes sure that the ownership of the project stays with the student, even though we as a organization may have supported the student in that endeavor.
Lee?
Aye.
Collins?
Aye.
Yusuf Abramson? Coyle? Owen? Austriaco? Bessler?
Aye.
Do I have a motion on number 9, new course proposals 2020?
Second.
Yes, so as Member Owen had read off some of the conversation we had regarding the addition of new courses, I will note, unfortunately, the aviation ones we did pull at the moment. Lewis University, who we're partnering with, or potentially partnering with, has had some change in administration. So literally late last week, we had a conversation that we're going to put that on hold for right now, but continue to try and work on having that move forward. Not next year, but the year after. However, we do have three important additions. One is cosmetology, something that we haven't had in a few years because the school that we used to partner with in Niles several years ago closed. And so we've been looking for a partner. And so College of DuPage will be partnering with them. We do have some transportation challenges there, but we're trying to work those out in-house. TMA, we sit in their old building right here, but they also have their new building in Schaumburg, and we had, I think it was 8 students go through this year as part of the grant, but now we're able to offer this now more broadly to students, so we'll be doing that in the coming year. Great program, NIM certification, all those good things that will get them employed upon graduation. And then lastly, Advanced Comp 2. We have Advanced Composition 1 right now. This will enable our students to take 1 in first semester, 2 in second semester, and actually earn 6 total credits in English at Oakton, which will be transferable to other Illinois schools within a year. So lots of positive additions to our Boy Scout life.
And you're asking us to waive the first reading because why? Against
We would like to get these in front of students as soon as we possibly can so we can generate interest and begin to determine staffing and things like that. Important to note, the staffing for, there is no additional staffing for TMA and cosmetology, just to note. Those are teachers who exist outside of our district, and so we're able to take advantage of that. So we really just want to, but we do have limited seats, and we want to know what kind of interest we will have.
So they come in, they will come in, and we,
Our kids will go out.
oh, they will go out?
Yes, so we'll have to arrange schedules and
Okay.
things like that for
And
students.
transportation.
Oh, that's right, with Stromberg and then College of Page. Now, what about the advanced composition? Is that done?
That is
at
in-house.
Oakton, or that's done here?
And so we have teachers in the district that are adjunct professors with Oakton that will teach that course.
And is that only for seniors, or is it juniors? What
It
is
is
where does it fit
limited,
in?
actually, Matt, I think it is limited to seniors, correct?
It is because we have to meet Oakton's placement criteria?
Okay, so they have to have pre-reqs before they can
Yes.
take.
Similar to those that would get them accepted and placed at Oakton.
And it will be offered at all 3 schools?
Yes, it will.
Any other questions? Yusuf Abramson? Owen?
Aye.
Lee? Coyle?
Aye.
Collins? Austriaco?
Aye.
Bessler?
Aye.
And do I have a motion on number 10 as amended?
Okay, I'm going to read. The recommendation is that the Board of Education establishes an estimated levy in the amount of $124,434,160, which represents a 2.9% increase over the prior year's extension on all funds except debt service. The district anticipates a levy of $12,874,760 in the debt service fund. This increase is due to the issuance of the voter-approved referendum debt. The Board of Education is fulfilling the requirements of the Truth in Taxation Act to inform our community on the 2019 tax levy by holding a public hearing on December 2nd, 2019 at 6:00 p.m. That is the recommendation.
Are you seconding it?
I'm seconding.
Okay. So just to be clear, member
I
Owen
moved.
moved and member Austriaco. Mary, do you want to?
Yeah, so I think the recommendation speaks to the fact that, you know, with our most recent bond sales, the increase is going to be primarily in the debt service fund. A home, an existing property will be limited to, assuming their assessment is proportionate to the assessment increases of all of the properties, would see a 1.9% increase in their taxes, because that's what CPI was. When you take a look at a levy of 2.9, the difference between 1.9 and 2.9 is $50 million of new property that may come onto the district in the form of additional housing, additions, developments,
Apartment buildings.
apartment, any new property onto the tax rolls, or any previously tax exempt property that is now taxable.
And we talked about this, it's not a full board member, so remember this, but if you don't levy for this, you don't capture it, so you have to levy. It doesn't materialize on the job. If you don't levy for it and something pops up, then you've lost it. So it's important to levy. We do this annually.
Right, and which is why on the schedule, we also give you not only what we're levying, but what the most likely scenario, because our most likely scenario is $25 million in new growth. We won't know the new growth number until the 2019 tax rates are extended, and that information is provided. It's generally April or May, so we kind of just have to do our best estimate based on historical.
If you go around the district, though, there's a lot of building going on right now
Yeah.
in many, many parts of the district.
Are there been properties that used to be tax exempt that are no longer?
Unfortunately, it seems to be going the other way in most
That's what I
instances.
thought.
But, you know, it is not unheard of for a property to be challenged and lose their tax exempt status. I think the most prevalent one I'm aware of was not at a hospital, but a hospital in a neighboring community whose health center was initially thought to be tax exempt, but because they were charging membership and dues fees, just like that became a for-profit entity and became taxable.
Any other questions? Coyle? Yusuf Abramson? Lee? Austriaco? Collins? Owen? Bessler? Do I have a motion on number 11, approval of 2019-2020 tuition cost per pupil?
No motion.
Second. Mary?
As part of the AFR, the state provides a calculation for what our tuition cost per pupil would be. The allowable expenditures under that formula increased 3.6%, and our average daily attendance decreased by 2.5, which caused an increase of 6.2 in our tuition number. This is a calculation that we use should any anybody wish to attend the district but reside outside the boundaries of District 207.
And actually, we do have at least one tuition paying student right now.
We have a
Also-
temporary tuition paying
They're,
student.
yeah, they bought a house and they're closing, we just haven't closed yet, but we have to charge them tuition until they close, we have by state law.
And typically, we've had it 2 to 3 a year. I thought.
We have, but I think they've graduated, so.
We had a set of twins roll through the district.
Now,
so
for perspective, so this is 19.9, okay? If you go just to the CSL, the next closest to us is going to be $3,000 to $4,000 more than that, the next closest, and it climbs to 30, to give you some sense of perspective.
Possibly one this year.
We have one right
For a short
now.
period of time until they close.
Yeah, they're supposed to close here anytime, they're closing that delayed, actually. Yeah.
And we charge, how did they pay it? Monthly? I didn't even-
30-day increments.
30 days. By certified check.
Interesting, wow.
It's very specific.
Wow, okay, well, any other questions? Lee? Collins? Austriaco?
Aye.
Bowen?
Aye.
Coyle? Aye. Yusuf Abramson? Bessler? Aye. Okay, do I have a motion on number 12, approval of bids and awarding of contracts 12A and B?
So moved. Second. Mary?
Okay, the first contract is the graduation contract for Rosemont Theater. It is $65,000, which is no increase from last year. We're able to save money from what, I can't even remember how many years we've been in Rosemont Theater. But before then, we had different graduation dates, and by consolidating, they have one setup, and we're able to save some money that way. We,
For about 5 years? I was here.
Weren't they closing?
Yeah, what's the status of that?
So Rosemont Theater, because I did ask them, Rosemont Theater said that they have no immediate plans to close. And if and when the village would ever choose to close them, it would be after they built them a new theater, which would be larger. And they would be happy to rent us the new larger theater, so.
That is not what we heard last year.
That is not what we heard.
Yeah, I think the story has changed a little bit.
So
We thought, oh
we
my
thought
gosh,
we
we
had
had
one
to
more
find a
year.
new place.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
so we did think that, so I asked the manager.
And who knows?
So-
I mean, you know,
He has no idea, which is why he was like, if and when they close us, they said their plans are to build a bigger one, because apparently they bring a lot of
Nice revenue.
acts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
there's
Well, they
another
had
problem.
sold it and repurchased it in just the last 10, less than 10 years that I've been here.
Really?
So does the contract have any provision that if the
Where
buildings
they
are no longer there or it's gone? I mean, was the contract have any escape clause regarding that? Since
I mean,
they're-
we would sue them for breach of contract, and
Because they're
then
not
if we
providing-
found another space, they would be on the hook for the difference between, for damages that
Do we
we
have a
incurred.
notice requirement, like, if you close it down, we need to let us know, and we might just want it the next year. I mean, we don't have.
It is
to-
an annual contract, though. We
Yeah.
don't have a
Yeah.
multi-year contract.
Right, so just if.
And they're
we-
kind of, because they
Just the
kind of
future.
figure out what our dates are, and they've been very good with holding that date, even though we're not under contract for us.
And I know, I do recall when my son graduated in West, we did that at a field. And then it was windy and everything was chaos in a way, but at least it was sunny, it wasn't raining.
Well, that's our backup.
Well, yeah. But overall, our three principals are happy and pleased with having graduation at the
Yes.
inside.
Yeah, you got
Yeah,
that.
that seems to.
Oh, yeah, it's not
Like-
a no-brainer, yeah.
And then the second, 12B?
12B is a contract with TEM to do the Phase 1 asbestos abatement management portion of the contract. So their contract would be a not to exceed $199,800, and it's a not to exceed because if they can have less management staff or fewer hours, they will only charge us their actual cost. But based on the square footage and number of shifts that we need to run, this is their estimated project management fee. They are in line with industry standard, and TEM has been doing our asbestos management project for a number of years. So part of it is happening, so we're doing a portion of asbestos abatement spring break, then we're doing a portion of it at the start of the school year, because we have, at the start of summer, because we have so much work to do, that if we did it in the summer, we would lose too much time from that 8-week window. So there are portions of each building that are doing spring break abatement and beginning of summer abatement.
This is covering all of that.
This is covering all of that.
I would just like to applaud and recognize Mary again for holding exponentially amount of details in her head and always knowing every detail and like that calendar and that answer. It just shows your excellence. So thank you for all your management. You're really doing today job. You're doing your day job and then the construction job, and it is greatly noticed and appreciated, so thank you. So, okay, any other questions on 12A and B?
Owen? Aye.
Coyle?
Aye.
Austriaco?
Aye.
Yusuf Abramson? Lee? Collins? Bessler? Aye. Do I have a motion on number 13, diversion and education program with Parkridge Police Department?
So moved.
Second.
Kim or Carla?
So I, we remember the discussion we had last month, we had the circular thing. I want to commend Member Owen for finding a very skillful and artful way to solve the issue by creating a resolution that I think meets the issue that we struggled with last month. Carla, I'll let you.
Yeah, I'm not sure with that, because I agree.
I just changed a word. I just made it, that we're assenting to the program, because that, to me, by definition, means that we're concurring with something they've already proposed. And before, the way it was written, I was uncomfortable with it, because it implied that we had given an opinion about the list of service providers that were in the, I guess it's their ordinance. So this was seemed like a reasonable and simple response.
Sometimes it just takes one word.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that. Okay, any questions on that?
So you're changing approved to.
Assent to.
Just want to make sure it's clear. Yeah, I think that's a very,
Yeah.
very simple solution that does the job.
Any other questions? Coyle?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Yusuf